Okay, leading off for us this weekend is Danica Patrick. She drives the number 10 GoDaddy Chevrolet in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And she'll also be driving the number 7 GoDaddy.com Chevrolet in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. And welcome, Danica, and talk about being here at Chicagoland Speedway. I guess it could be considered your home track as far as where your roots are, and be the first time racing in the Sprint Cup Series here at Chicagoland, and maybe talk about the significance of that.
It will be. You know, it's good to be close to home. There's quite a few people coming out to the track. I even have family members coming from Canada, so there's going to be a few people here. But you know, I just love Chicago. I love being in the city. I don't have a lot of happy feelings from last night's football game, but other than that, it's good to be in Chicago.
Good. We have a couple of wireless mics that are here, and so if you raise your hand, we'll bring the wireless mic to you, and state your name, affiliation, and try to limit yourself to one question so we can let everybody participate. Go ahead. Who's got a question? Bob, go ahead.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. Both your car owners are in the chase. Who you rooting for, Junior or Stewart, to win it?
Well, I guess since I'll be driving for Stewart Haas next year, I guess it would mean that I'd probably be cheering for Tony a little bit more, since that'll be my full-time team next year, if I had to pick one. But that's a really unfair question.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
I do. I gave you an answer, didn't I? Yeah. Okay.
Who else has a question for Danica? Right here.
Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. Can you talk about the changes announced last week by Junior Motorsports, Tony Eury's departure?
Yeah, with Pops being gone, you know, as I said last week, I thought I had a really good relationship with him. I really liked him. He's definitely one of those old school guys. So it'll be you know, sad to not see him around, but that's business. And as far as the new arrival, I don't really, you know, I don't know him that well, and I'm sure I will get to know him a little bit as the year goes on. But there's not too much left, so you know, with any organization, it's tough to turn the ship instantly. So I think that I'm sure that he'll be doing his best and trying to help things.
Other questions for Danica? Bob has another one.
Does the fact that you raced here, what, 6-7 weeks ago, help you at all this weekend in either the Nationwide or the Cup car?
Yeah, Bob, I think it does a little bit. I mean, it's definitely wasn't that long ago as I was flipping through my notebook, as I feel like this year I had to write down what I felt at each track because they're all so similar to remember what the feeling was. It came back pretty quick, and I know it's going to be a bit different in the Cup car for sure. You know, everything's more difficult in the Cup car, but you know, I think that the weather will help. I mean, you know, six or so weeks ago, or 8 weeks ago, whenever we were here, it was you know, very hot. So I think the cool weather will hopefully help with the grip and make things a little bit easier, a little less slippery, greasy. And you know, when I say that, I guess I'm thinking of somewhere like Atlanta, you know, where it just gets really slippery and you're kind of fighting for grip.
Any other questions? Right over here to the right.
Marty Smith, ESPN. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you were a betting girl, where would you put your money on these 12 drivers that have the opportunity to win the
You're going to talk about football.
No, you might want to keep your money in your pocket as it pertains to the Bears.
I am playing fantasy football for the first time, though, and I had a ball last night, like moving my players around, and I'm not going to lie, I pretty much used the, what is that number on the right, projected points, that they're like a spread, or what is that called? What is that called on the right when they, do you know what I'm talking about with fantasy football? I don't really know what I'm doing. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, I think when the chase comes around, it's about momentum and you know, who's coming into it with momentum. But then again, you know, you look at what Tony did last year and just, came in just, didn't have, I can remember watching the interviews in the races leading up to the end of the regular season into the chase, and he was getting put on the spot every weekend about making it in, and then he came in and just kicked ass, and that's what can happen, and that's what makes it exciting. That's what creates good storylines for these last 10 races of the season, and obviously the ones before it leading up to it. So it's a good marketing thing, and good for PR, what NASCAR has created. But it's tough on someone who had the points lead and now comes in with only maybe a few points on the board. So I think it's going to be a tough championship. I think you can never count guys like Tony out for sure, and you got Jimmy, and Denny's been on a roll, and I think Dale Jr.'s got a good shot. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
Right here, Dave.
Nate Ryan, USA Today. Danica, you were talking about all the family and stuff here. You said somebody's from Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
My mom's side of the family is like right across the border of Minnesota into Canada. So they saddled up and headed on down a few days ago.
When NASCAR races in Indy, Tony Stewart talks about how it's almost less relaxing for him that weekend because he's got so many people to manage and so many hot passes and things like that to take care of. Is that true for you when you race here, when you have all that family here? Is it more pressure on you, not just in terms of expectations, but all the other demands that go on?
Well, I mean, I think that when you have people that care, that are coming to the track, and they're coming to support you, of course, but they're coming to see you too, and you want to make time for them, for making the effort and supporting you. So, I think in my situation, we just try and create realistic expectations, low expectations for the people coming to the track, that basically you're not going to see me until after the race or something like that, so that they don't get their hopes up and think they're going to spend an hour hanging out with me, knocking back beers before the race. I mean, that's just not how it goes. So I feel like we let them know how it's going to go, and I always encourage people to come bring your fun with you, meaning don't just come with you alone or you and somebody else. Bring a few people, and that way you have some entertainment built in. But definitely in NASCAR it's a little bit different than IndyCar, because IndyCar had hospitality areas and places like that where people could eat and hang out, and in NASCAR they're all outside of the track, and it's kind of a bit of a haul to get there and back. So, and I don't even know where I'd send them if I were to send them to a hospitality. So they definitely have to find their own fun. So it is a bit more work, and it's not necessarily, it doesn't make the weekend easier, but it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate that people show their support and care and want to be a part of it and see it. So ultimately I'm glad that they come, and I'm glad that they don't come all the time.
Over here to the left, Dean.
Dean McNulty, Toronto Sun. Tomorrow night is the IndyCar final at Fontana. Do you have a rooting choice there? Hunter Ray, your old teammate at Andretti?
Well, it's either Will or Ryan. I heard Ryan crashed and he has to start 10 spots back, right? Is it because he had to do an engine change? I don't know. I mean, I think Will's strong suit is definitely the road courses. Ryan's good on the road courses too, but I feel like it's going to be a tough one. To be honest, I'd like to see Will get it because he came so close last year. Was it last year or the year before? 2 years, yeah. I'd like to see him get it. He's a fantastic driver, and he's accomplished a lot of great things, and I feel like really raised the level, especially on the road course racing. So I would like to see him get it. He's a really nice guy.
Let's go over here to the far right, our friend from the United Kingdom. Go ahead.
Danica, it's Graham McKenzie from Travel Mole in the United Kingdom. I wonder if you could tell me how important your Formula 4 training and driving was in your career.
Well, I think that everything that I've done has played a part in who I am as a driver, for sure. It forced me to, drive cars that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with and didn't really know. Bottom line is I didn't really learn a lot about cars, and they didn't really change the car a lot for me, unless I wasn't, if they kind of had their favorite on the team that they would change the car around and being on big teams, they had like one guy, one engineer. So it forced me to learn how to drive cars that I didn't necessarily like, though. And more than anything, when I lived there, I learned about life, and I feel like I grew a lot, and I became a lot more wise. I came back a little bit less open, and I think that's probably was a good protection thing for me, and allowed me to, you know, it just allowed me to be smarter and not to jump into things too quickly. And I just learned a lot about life, which was invaluable. And of course, then when I got the ride with Bobby Rahal back in Formula Atlantic, you know, seeing the commitment that I made to move there at the age that I did and leave my family was another really big thing. So I wouldn't take it back. It was an important experience for me, and it's led me to where I am.
Go ahead, Steve.
Steve Richards with PRN. New Hampshire coming up. Had a pretty decent run there. I mean, you finished 14th. You're not running New Hampshire. Nationwide. Not nationwide.
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
All right, that's okay.
Well, what do you think about Kentucky going in? We're looking for some preview stuff here, so give me an idea of what you expect.
Sorry. That's all right. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, whatever. It's late.
Kentucky. Yeah, it's a standalone, or no, are we racing with trucks? I have no idea. Does anybody have any trucks? Okay.
Whatever.
It's, you know, another 1.5 mile oval. It's rough, and gosh, I'm trying to remember what happened at Kentucky. It was, that's Austin won that one. And
yeah, he did.
He was very fast, and I don't necessarily think I was super comfortable that night, and felt like I was a little bit loose in. And so, you know, remembering those things are going to be important for going back the second time and being able to improve from last time and you know, get better. I think, you know, I really felt like coming away from that weekend, while it wasn't, you know, a complete disaster, I really felt like there just wasn't anything special about it. So hopefully when we go back this time next weekend, it'll be a little more special.
Well, it was almost a top 10 finish, so it wasn't too bad.
Right. It's just sometimes as a driver, you're out there and you don't feel like you've passed anyone or done anything all day long. And so, you know, that was kind of how I felt that day or that night, was just that I didn't really do anything. It just was the result that it was. And, you know, I'd like to go back, and I'd like to have more speed and be able to work my way up more and pass some cars and come away with a better feeling and hopefully a better result.
Got time for one more question. Anybody else for Danica?
I'll ask one.
All right. Final question.
Mike Muller. GoDaddy, since they had the management change, it looks like they've changed their approach to advertising or something like that. What kind of ads are you doing over there? Because I mean, you've got a stylized ad approach, and it looks like they're twisting that around or changing it or going to techie stuff or something.
I mean, it's not. It's GoDaddy's ad, of course. And when the new group came on, you know, they're always trying to look for new ways to reach more demographics, I'm sure, and they hired a new agency. That's the biggest thing. They hired Deutsch, was it called? Is that right? Haley? Deutsch, Donnie Deutsch, something like that? That is correct. GoDaddy's advertising agency. Okay, anyway, I'm sure you can figure it out. So that's going to change things. That was all done in-house forever, so I would say that's probably the biggest reason for a change in a general change in the ads.
Danica, thanks for coming in, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Next up, we have an announcement